Thank you for having me here today, and I'm really excited to talk about social media as always. As Steve said, I work for a local ad agency based right here in Warrensville, right off of Emory Road, and we handle clients like the Cleveland Indians, Jeep Chrysler Dodge Group, Fred Martin Superstores, Ursuline College, and a handful of others. So 2 years ago I came to the agency after working in the traditional media space to help introduce new digital media to our clients. So that's what I'm tasked with. I've been speaking a lot to chambers, so it's a pleasure to be here, and I'll dig right in. I did a little informal survey as I walked around, and I asked people, what is your comfort level with social media, or do you currently use it, or how do you use it? And I got the usual response is like, yeah, I gotta use it. I know I gotta use it. I don't want to use it. I don't know how to use it, but yes, I do use it. So, I want to start by going through some things that are happening today in social media and kind of catch everybody up on where we are, and then I have some predictions on where the space is going to be going. As far as businesses go, I think it's a really relevant and important time for you all, for everybody really, to take notice and to learn about these platforms, because they're not just for play, they're not just for fun. There's really a lot of business relevance that can do a lot of things for your business, like return on investment, drive sales, drive traffic to websites. It can be used as a great PR tool, and I'll show you that when I go through some of these slides. So we'll just keep going there. Today, and you probably saw this in the little description, but today I was going to talk about the importance of social marketing and content creation, the new sales funnel as it relates to social media, which I think that'll clear a lot of things up for a lot of people, why online PR and reputation management is crucial, the impact of social media on search, and my predictions for what's next. So I threw this slide up because this is kind of where we're at with all the social media platforms. And it's funny because we were talking right before this, and the mayor's like, well, where's Instagram on there? And these platforms are moving so fast, and I know that it's frustrating from a business sense and probably a personal sense on how to keep up with them. And the truth is it is a problem. You really got to dedicate a lot of time to stay ahead of the curve on all the technology out there. But Facebook is still number one as far as people who are using the social networking site on a daily basis. Twitter number two, Google Plus number three. And who uses Google Plus for their businesses? Not a lot? Okay. LinkedIn number four, and Pinterest number five. Who loves Pinterest like I do? Okay. And people are spending a lot of time on these platforms. On Facebook, 405 minutes a month. I mean, who has time, really? Except for me, maybe. But Pinterest is equal to that at another 405 minutes a month. Twitter 89, LinkedIn 21, and Google 3. So as you can see, I mean, people are spending tremendous amounts of time engaging and interacting with businesses and brands and their friends and their families. So it's a really important and relevant place to be. And really, there's two reasons why people interact with social platforms. Number one is for entertainment, for fun, and that might be your first inclination. Oh, it's fun, there's games. But they also use them to seek out information. I'm sure that you can think of a scenario, I can think of some on a daily basis, where you go on to your networks of people and it's called crowdsourcing. You're asking them a question about a product or a service or something that you need help with that you want to get advice on. So they're seeking out information, and then third is they're making meaningful connections that benefit their lives. I mean, we all have stories about how somebody that we knew 30 years ago in high school recently contacted us on Facebook. So, those I would say were the three reasons why people get on the social networks. Now, from a business sense, on the brand side, people are using it for 2 reasons: to humanize their brand, to make their brand accessible to people, and to cultivate advocates. And I'll show you why in my famous funnel slide why that's important. Brands and businesses now have to force themselves to think about their activity and interaction on social networks as if they were magazine publishers. You know, you have a business and you have a brand, and so you're tasked with coming up with all the information, all the content, all the things that you think that your audience will like and want to interact with. So I'm gonna get a t-shirt of this made one day, because usually when I show this, people are like, okay, I get it. So this is just the plain old sales funnel. And if you're, in business, you know that there's these tried and true levels of guiding a customer from awareness down to purchase. So, the first level is awareness, consideration, which is once they're aware, then they're considering your product based on other products or gathering information. Then there's intent, and that's actually like, yeah, I like your brand, I want to buy from you. Third is purchase, and that's actually when the person is actually making that purchase, going, whether it's online or offline. And lastly, it's loyalty. Did they like your brand? Were they satisfied with the interaction that they had with your company? Will they come back? Will they speak favorably? I know I was warned not to stand in front of this, but there's 3 groups of people outside of your sales funnel. And at the top, the first group is the people that are unaware. They don't know anything about your brand or your business. They don't know you, they never heard of you. At the bottom are the advocates. And those are people that have bought from you previously, and they're the ones, who've had a good experience with your business that we really want to focus on, and we really want to use them to drive word of mouth marketing across the social networks. And then the third group are the enthusiasts. And those are people who are similar to your brand. They have good things to say about you and your brand, but they're not necessarily customers. So they might be people who are in an association with you, much like a chamber, a partner business, maybe a manufacturer partner. So on social networks, and what I work with customers on is using content, and those are all the things that you publish across Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, to guide people through the sales funnel. So starting with the advocates, and that's usually where we start, because those are the people that first have had interaction with you and they have nice things to say about you. We want to influence them to share their good experience and that word of mouth marketing up to the people that are unaware. Now, you can also get the unaware people by doing traditional marketing, radio, TV, cable, email marketing, and that's more of a broad way to reach your customers and influence them. But we're seeing with brands that if we focus on the advocates and enthusiasts, we don't have to spend a lot of money, and it's much more effective in getting people through that sales cycle. So there's my aha slide. So I'm going to spend a lot of time, not a lot of time because I don't have a lot of time, some time talking about content development and what makes good content. And this is really based off a lot of experience that I've had and a lot of research that I've read and things that I've seen online from some of the bigger brands, but they can relate down to your business. So I hope that you can take some of these content tips with you when you walk away. Because really, content is the social currency of social networks. This is the stuff that we're going to push out there that we want your advocates to take and run with. And it's really hard now because Facebook, and I'm talking particularly on Facebook right now, Facebook has changed its algorithm, and an algorithm is a way that they show your content within others' news feeds. So if somebody's a fan of yours, they're only going to see 16% of your content on a given day, because Facebook wants you to pay for your advertising, not use content marketing. So the onus is on the business to really think about that content and develop good content that people are going to come back over and over and over again. Just like, almost like website development. The first tip is to develop a brand voice. So be human. Again, when we thought about why businesses and brands want to be on social networks, it's to humanize your brand, because people really interact with humans. And this is kind of changing the way that marketing is happening, is people are getting away from consumer marketing from a big brand standpoint, and they're really getting more granular with relationship marketing. So nobody does it better than Progressive and Flow, in my opinion. I love Flow. I dressed up for Halloween a couple years ago. I'm sure you can see the resemblance in humanizing their brand. So Flow has really become the mouthpiece for Progressive. This is a company called Zappos. I don't know if anybody's familiar, but it's a shoe company. And you can get almost any kind of shoe from Zappos. It comes the next day. They're known for their excellent customer service. This is their Twitter account, and they have decided that their Twitter account was going to be used for customer service. So they actually have customer service representatives. You can see they put pictures of them, and they identify themselves when they get on Twitter, like, hey, this is Angela. Let's talk shoes, or how was your experience with Zappos? And people actually interact with these real people who are the face of their Twitter. So another example of humanizing your brand. This was a client that we actually had the opportunity to work with. It's the Cuyahoga County Public Library System. So a little bit different than a consumer brand, more on the nonprofit side. But if you use photos, it improves the engagement about 2 times more. So this was just a little badge that we put up on their page. This person loves their library. And through the analytics on Facebook, we could see in one day they had a reach of almost 5,000 people. Do I not have the shares here? All right, well, they have 298 people talking about this. That means that 298 people shared that and started a new news story within their networks on one little badge. So it is quite powerful when you think about paid versus owned versus earned media. This is a really good way to gradually engage a lot more people with not a lot of money spent, I guess. Budweiser, again, this is just a simple picture. They're not selling anything. They're using pictures to engage people with their brand. And you probably see this had 4,607 shares. We found that people like to see what's happening behind the scenes. So if you have a business and you have the resources to have somebody take pictures of what's happening behind the scenes, it gives people an insight into something that they normally wouldn't be able to see, and they like that. We're all a little bit of stalkers when it comes to social media. This was for the American Girl store. They were having a grand opening, I think, let's see, I don't know where it was, Miami. And so they showed the store to people before they could even get in. A lot of companies don't use this. I actually had a hard time finding an example, but it is a really effective way to engage those advocates, is to give them something that they couldn't normally get. Be seasonable and timely. Again, this is just a simple Dunkin' Donuts. This was around Christmas time. They had their gingerbread latte, and they just, they're promoting their product. They threw up a picture of something that was seasonable and timely. Again, this is BK. It was around the time of the Golden Globe Awards. So they just created this simple image that kind of mimicked what was going on in public culture at the time, and it got 293 shares. I mean, it's a chicken sandwich. This is Geico. Again, this was last spring, and the famous lizard they just inserted into some silly little ducks, and we're talking about about spring. But again, the point is they have really high engagement on these pictures. As simple and as silly as they seem, they're reaching a lot of people through all of these social networks by creating this content that is seasonable and timely. Here's Oreo showing how to offer exclusive branded images. If you have a way, if you have access to a graphic designer or somebody that's good creating images that can kind of work in your logo or something that goes along with your business, these are also things that seem to engage people. Frito-Lay, they did this funny little game where you find out the differences in the two pictures. And it's really simple, but they incorporated their business and their logo and their design into these images. And this is a really important one. This is like fail-proof. Activate your fans. People love answering questions. In an age of social media, they like their voices to be heard or to participate in something that their friends are participating in. This was from UNICEF. What's the most urgent problem in the world today? And what kind of world would you like to live in? And I kind of cut it off, but that got almost 2,000 likes off of it. Boy Scouts of America, what were your top 3 favorite activities from your time as a Boy Scout? 805 people like it, 217 shares. And something closer to home, the Browns, guess this Browns. Really simple stuff, but when you ask people their opinion and to engage with this kind of content, it's going to help you in the long run. Why online PR and reputation management is crucial. And this is an area that everybody really needs to think about. We talked about it briefly earlier today. When you're talking about cultivating advocates and people who are going to speak for your brand, you want to make sure that these people are saying the right things in a favorable way. So how do you feel if somebody has a bad experience with your brand, or they don't like you, or they're dead set on getting out there and making everybody else know how miserable their experience with your company was? It's really an area that I think is growing that we're going to have to pay attention to. In 2011, the average consumer consulted 10.4 sources before buying. So I get on social media, I get on Facebook, I get on Twitter, and I'm like, I need new windows. Does anybody know of a good window company? And so maybe in my group of 600 friends, I get 20 different window companies. But maybe one person says, don't work with so-and-so because they came in and they tracked mud all over my house and they charged me, outrageous rates. That was a bad review, and guess what? I'm probably not going to call that window company. Over half of the millennial consumers aged 18 to 34 trust the opinions of strangers online over those of friends and family. Ouch. Consumer reviews are significantly more trusted, nearly 12 times more, than descriptions that come from manufacturers, according to a survey. So we're in a little bit of a pickle here, because now the truth of what your company, what you portray, or what you put out to your company, they're not really listening to what you're saying. They're listening to what their friends are saying. So, it can be awesome for brand advocacy, but it also can be a nightmare. So here's an example of something that's awesome. This would be the Columbus Library. Somebody went on, she had an awesome experience. She took her kid, they showed her the little Dropbox thing where the books go up and down. So she went on, she's a happy mom. She's letting everybody know how great the library was to her and her family. Back to Flo. Somebody's not so happy with Progressive. She gets on their page, just slams Progressive, the experience, not quality, not my fault, blah, 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 blah. So what they did, they humanized their brand, and they use Flo to kind of soften the blow. And they have it's apparent that they have some sort of strategy to deal with customer service issues. So they just said, thanks, I'd look into this. Can you give me your number offline? Poor Cheerios. So Cheerios is known for their wholesome, great products, and they advertise that. You know, there's no additives in our cereal. Well, apparently it's come out that there's a lot of chemicals and GMOs and really bad stuff. So social media has provided a platform for people to get on there and completely trash them. And the interesting thing, which is this is a General Mills company, they don't have anybody responding. They're just sitting there letting all this happen. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, this was just a little screenshot that I got. So you can imagine over time, if you have these grassroots companies, if you're doing something that's not right and people are getting on there and you're not responding, imagine the impact over all the social networks and all the people and advocates and friends of friends that could reach. And this one was funny, I thought. This is Allen's Veggies. They have like canned spinach. They have a really good social media site if you want to get on and check it out. But somebody bought 2 cans of beans and they were only halfway full. So she needed to let everybody know. But Allen's Veggies was sitting there poised and ready to, handle it with customer service. So my point is, think about also as something to deal with PR. You need to have some sort of plan or some sort of person to handle those kind of conversations that are taking place. And they are going to take place. They're going to take place in my backyard with another mom who lives next door. They're going to take place at the water cooler, and they're going to take place on your social media sites. They're just going to take place. I'd rather know about them so I could get in there and deal with those issues as they happen instead of not knowing and not dealing with things that are out there. Why do people follow a brand? 32% on Facebook say because you're a current customer. Once again, going back to the advocacy. If you can engage people that are already doing business with you, they're going to be the start of your network. They're going to be the ones that are going to get things rolling. 36%, now this is also good for small businesses, say because of special offers and deals. Now Twitter and Facebook, Pinterest is coming along, give you a great platform for providing your best customers and your advocates special deals and offers and things that they couldn't get in other places. Same with Twitter, the same 2 reasons. So once you got these advocates, you got to work really hard because most people, as you can see from here, only like about 60% of people only like up to 5 brands at a time. So if you imagine all the brands out there, whether it's, a furniture shop or a library or a grocery store or a car service place, whatever it is, people are only going to like 5. So you're really competing in this space to get people to come and take a part of your content that you're pushing out. And I put this in because tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Because people do break up with brands too, But these are the things that you don't want to hear. People are not that likely to break up with you unless you commit some of these sins. And the first one would be company posted too frequently. So you gotta test a little bit and see. You can tell a lot from analytics on the back end of how people are interacting with your brand on Facebook and Twitter. But you can see if people are starting to get turned off by all of your stuff that you're pushing out. The second one was wall was becoming too crowded with marketing posts and some needed to go. So the point there is you're not always pushing out, using it as an advertising vehicle. You want to pull people in and you want to enable them to share all of your content that you're publishing. The third thing was content became repetitive or boring. So again, it's a challenge to constantly think of the content that will be good for your audiences and for your business. So, and here's another thing that's happening. Social is starting to impact the way that people search online for things and the results that they get. Google Plus has changed their algorithm. Before you had to pay per click, do paid search advertising, so that when people are searching for you on Google, that you come up higher in those listings. Now, if you go, this is a good task, go Google your company and see what comes up. Social media is starting to play more into that search algorithm, so that when you're searching for a company, all your social media stuff actually comes up first. So it's really important now that you're active and creating content and doing things on these social media sites, because those actually play into how people are going to find you. So this might be good and it might be bad, all the information that I've shared with you today. I've dubbed everything the social umbrella. If people say, well, what do you do? And I say, oh, I do social media. Well, what is that? So these are all the areas that I think, if you're going to get into social media, that you should explore resources. Graphic design, obviously, because this is becoming more of a visual place to be. Engagement and strategy planning, looking at those analytics, identifying audiences, looking at platforms and seeing which ones are more important to your company's goals and objectives in the long run. Public relations, customer service, these are all areas that are going to be growing and that you should seek out resources for. There's the paid advertising, which until about 3 months ago, Facebook didn't really have any real paid advertising, and they're starting to get more into that space. App development. I don't know if you know this, but on Facebook particularly, there's opportunities to develop custom apps that people can work with. You can use it as lead generation or contests, all kinds of stuff. So app development. Content marketing obviously is a huge one. How do you create and push out content that's going to resonate with your customers? And then the actual platforms themselves. They're changing so fast, and there's so many new best practices. Every day there's something new. So really seeking out resources that help you to stay ahead of that curve will be important. So here's my predictions in working in the space. Obviously, content marketing is going to be huge. The fact that content marketing now influences web searches and social searching, that's huge. The fact that people spend 405 minutes with social sites, that's huge. And the fact that so many people are engaged in crowdsourcing and doing all of these things via the social networks, content marketing is definitely going to take a center stage. Visual will overtake social media. Again, we talked about the importance of using pictures and graphics to push out to your audiences, to have them share. Pay-to-play shift. Anymore, when I work with people, I tell them to put aside a little bit of money to do some Facebook marketing, because the things that you think that you're publishing aren't particularly getting seen by a whole bunch of people. So it is important at that top tier in the awareness part of my funnel to put some money towards raising awareness about your brand, or some specials or anything that you have going on. Reputation management, again, crucial. Social media is a free-for-all kind of for people to get on and slam you and to defame you, or it can work in your favor. So you kind of need to put a lot of work into figuring out how we're going to manage this. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. Steve had asked me to remind you that there's a new resource for your chamber. It's called Save Local Now, and it's a mobile platform which allows you to go in and create a listing. And you can also create offers. And I pulled this screenshot up because we were talking about content. And this allows you, this is built-in content, that allows you to easily share it with Facebook and Twitter. So if you're looking for a way to easily create some content or some special offers for your audiences that you're growing, this would be a good way to do it. There's also a representative here, Zach, who can answer any questions or help you if you need to learn how to get set up on the platform. Is that good?
That was good.
Okay. So this is where you can find me. I'm on Twitter. I manage my own. I made some decisions a long time ago about my own social media activities, and I use Twitter. I tweet about social, mobile, digital media, so I would be maybe a good resource as a content or just to learn. And then Steering Media, I manage our business page too, and then I'm also on LinkedIn. So